We don't mess around. All right, let's get this thing going. Chris, you ready to pipe up whenever you need to?
Yep.
I don't want to do that. Let's see if I can go on in two of these. Because okay, so Indian Wells 70.3 race talk and ask questions as needed.
Recording in progress.
And no, we don't want that. Hold on. Trying to bring up myself on two so I can see everything. This is
Two Lubinsky's is not good.
okay. If you have questions, right in the chat. I have two going on right now, so I can see it all. You should see me today during the podcast. It's out of control. All right, so I have a PowerPoint here ready. We're going to focus a lot on performance and how to execute this course. Most of you guys know the semantics of racing. If you don't, we'll blow through some specifics of this course. But all right, Indy Wells this Sunday. Obviously, be safe getting out there this week. Let's just make sure you stay active without overdoing it. Get some early sleep. Make sure you're going to bed early and eating clean. Don't eat a bunch of fat heavy. Don't drink. No alcohol. Make sure you stay on top of your electrolytes without over drinking. Don't just chug water. I don't want you up peeing 15 times a night. Need you to get into that nice deep sleep. If you're having a tough time, if you're stressing out, you're thinking a lot about the race, make sure you take time to yourself, deep breaths, meditate a little bit, and just cut out any unnecessary stressors that you don't need in your life, right? Don't do anything. Don't go to a concert or go get in a fight with your significant other if you don't need to. Just walk out of the room and forget about it. This week is all about you, de-stressing, getting to bed early, eating right, and getting as prepared to leave it on the line on Sunday as you can. All right, so a quick race day checklist, things to remember. I'm putting this on YouTube after the fact, so if you need a reminder, you can bring this back on the Tower 26 channel and watch this again, but you need to have what you're going to wear under your wetsuit. We're all wearing wetsuits. The temperature of the lake is about 58 to 60 degrees, so it's wetsuit mandatory, so you will be wearing those. Two sets of goggles, but you're probably going to want to wear a tinted set of goggles. They changed the direction of the swim this year, so there's less time swimming into the sun, but you still will be swimming into the sun. So make sure you have a tinted set of goggles. You can, don't worry, you can bring a towel. You can put it in your T1 bag if you think you need it. Obviously, in your wetsuit, you need your Vaseline, so you put that at any hot spots where the Vaseline might be rubbing. Some people might want to use Glide, things like that. Use Vaseline, guys. It's the best lubricant you can use around your neck. Put it on your nipples, put it under your arms, anywhere that your wetsuit might rub. Put that Vaseline.
Put it
And
on
then if
your
you're
ears. Don't put some on your hands. Don't get it near your goggles. Don't put it on your face. But I usually rub it around my ears.
So here, you could put it on your cheeks, you could put it on your nose, you could put it on your chin, you put it on the top of your hands, you put it on top of your feet. That'll keep you warmer, right? But like Chris said, don't put it on your hands, don't get it on your goggles. If you do, use your towel to wipe it off. But if you, it's a trick, it's an open water swim trick. Put the Vaseline on exposed skin, and that'll keep you warm or repel the water. That way, you're not wearing gloves, you're not wearing booties. You're not. None of us are gonna wear booties out there. It's too much drag. We got to work way too hard to fight the resistance of the booties. Put some Vaseline on the top of your feet, put it on your cheeks, on your nose, on the top of your hands, and you'll be fine. For the bike, let's make sure you have your bike, your helmet, your cycling shoes, socks. If you train in your socks, wear your socks. Warm clothes. It warms up pretty quick on the bike, so don't overdress. You warm up as you get going on the bike. Sunglasses. It's going to be clear and sunny on race day. It is 99% of the time, so be ready for that. Be ready with your nutrition, water bottles, with a flat kit, just in case you get a flat. You can at least start it until course support comes through. The roads are pretty clear, so you probably won't need the flat kit. Just make sure you have your tires pumped up before race day, and you know what psi you're gonna pump those tires to. Remember, guys, if you have questions, write it into the chat, or you could just unmute and ask the question as we go. For run, make sure you have your running shoes. You need two pairs because what's going to happen on the day before, we'll go over this shortly. You're going to have to leave your race run shoes at T2 and you're gonna have to wear another pair of shoes to race day and get warm up in them. So you need at least two pairs of running shoes because you won't have access to your race shoes on race day. You need dry clothes for something you're gonna wear to the race and something you're gonna put in that dry clothes bag to have after the race right away. Obviously, you need a race belt to put your race number on. You need your hat, your visor, any nutrition you're gonna take on the run. Random things you're going to need is your timing devices, your watches, your bike computers. I put BodyGlide sunscreen, something you could put on before you leave your Airbnb or your hotel. Don't worry about bringing it to the race. Just make sure when you put sunscreen on, you don't put it above your eyes. Put it on your cheeks, your nose, but nothing above your eyes, because when you start to sweat, it comes down into your eyes and starts to burn. So don't do that. We already talked about the Vaseline. If there's anything that's like rattling around that you need to tape down, bring some electrical tape and you could do that. Like we already spoke about the change of clothes, and don't worry about anything for after the race. They have the little shindig that you can get food at. All right, questions on anything you need for the race? Anybody? Feel free to unmute. No, we're good. Chris, did I hit it all?
I think so. It gets very confusing in the next few minutes when you're going to talk about leaving your shoes in T2. So we need to go over that when we get there.
We'll go over all that. Eli's here too. Eli, you arrived safe and sound.
Yeah, all good.
What's the
All
weather
good.
like? Eli's there right now.
Today it was 84.
Beautiful.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying. This race always gets a lot of noise because the water's cold, the water temperature. You get on the bike and you warm up real quick, guys. It's the sun is blaring down on you. You got asphalt road that you're riding on, so don't stress about the temperature. Sure, it might be cold for first few minutes getting moving in the lake, but then you get moving and you're fine. All right, so Friday you can check in Friday if you feel you need to. Obviously, you can check in Saturday as well. What is this? Sorry, you can check in Saturday as well, but you can go to one of those athlete briefings just for some last minute reminders if they need to. They need to go over anything, you're not clear on something. Go to one of those athlete briefings. They have them on Friday and Saturday. So take note here that the mandatory bike gear check-in and run gear check-in takes place on Saturday. So the best thing to do is when you go check in on Saturday, bring your run gear with you. Bring your running shoes, your race belt, your hat, your sunglasses, anything you're going to wear on the run, and drop it off at T2 when you're at check-in. All right, so then you have to go back to T2 with all your stuff. Just do it right when you check in on Saturday. If you check in on Friday, obviously you have to go there on Saturday and drop that off. But if you can work it into just dropping it off while you're there, then you don't have to go back and forth. So bring all your run gear with you to when you check in for the race. And then after you check in, just walk over the T2 and you're going to drop that at the T2 rack. And that's the last time you're going to see your run gear until you get there off the bike on race day. All right. So take note of that. That's 10 to 5 p.m. Do it right after you check in. And then another thing you have to do is you have to go out to the lake and drop your bike gear bag and your bike off, right? So you can either do that at 9 a.m. when it first opens. If you check in on Friday, get out to the lake at 9 a.m. and get it there right away, or wait until later in the day and Saturday and bring it over there later in the day. Because the backup going into that lake midday, it could take you an hour and a half, 2 hours just to get into the lake because there's one way in and one way out. So you either go early in the morning to drop your bike gear and bike off. It's safe. There's people that are watching it all day. Or you go later in the day and miss all the traffic that goes midway through the day. Because last year I got caught in that traffic and it was 2.5 hours. I just pulled over, parked, and rode my bike in, dropped it off, and then jogged back to my car. It was like a half mile, but there's plenty of parking along the side if you get caught in that traffic. Get out, park, get out, get on your bike, put on your backpack with all your gear in it, and ride over to the bike check-in. Sunday race day, you have to take a shuttle to the race. It's really well laid out. They have tons of shuttles. So anywhere between 4 and 5:45, you can take those shuttles. Transition opens at 5:45. There's no reason to be there that early. You want to, I would say you want to get there around 5:30, 6 a.m. Because the race doesn't start, right? It starts at 7. Transition, quote unquote, closes at 6:30. There's not much to do there. So don't get there super early. You don't have to get there for the opening of transition. I would say if you get there between 5:30 and 6 a.m. after you get to the shuttle a little earlier, but the shuttle arrives at the transition area at 5:30 to 6 a.m. You'll have plenty of time to get all your stuff done, go to the bathroom, get air in your tires, get your wetsuit on, and head over to the swim start. Because that race for you guys starts at 7:10 a.m. and that's the rolling start. So There's plenty of time. Just don't get there too early. All you're going to be doing is standing out there in the cold, waiting around because there's nothing to do out there once you get out to the lake. Race goes, and then you guys leave it on the line. So there's the schedule. Any questions there? Anything, Eli?
No, sounds good.
I have
All
a
right.
quick question.
Yeah.
I hate being the question person, but don't we have to bring our wetsuit with us to check the bike in? Don't we have to
Yeah,
dunk
I
it
was
in
going
a?
to go over
little
that. I
stuff?
think that's next. Hold on. Here you go.
Got it.
I'm going to go over that. I'm going to go over that shortly. I have a whole slide on the wetsuit protocol, Megan. So
I'll leave you alone.
nice leading question. You do
Uh-huh.
have to bring your wetsuit out when you check your bike in on Saturday, right? So you have to bring your wetsuit with you on Saturday. You have to bring your wetsuit with you on Saturday. I don't want you to forget it and then go all the way back an hour, then come back and sit in traffic again because you forgot your damn wetsuit. You have to bring it with you because there's a protocol you have to go through. You have to leave it there overnight. They hang it up, it dries out, but you have to dunk it in this tub to decontaminate it. So and that they lead you through it. It's easy. It's a whole, the process is very well run, but bring your wetsuit with you at the bike drop off. All of you guys got a QR code when you signed up for the race. It's also in your active.com account. So make sure you have a screenshot of that ready when you go check in. So it is, I don't know about that 1127. I don't know when that came, but it's in your account. It's in your active account, and you have an email that has that QR code. I think it's from active.com. We already talked about dropping off all the bags. Talked about that. Our team dinner, 5 p.m. at Mario's. That address is in your team email for the week. And we can lay that out there in the chat too if you guys need a reminder as to what the address is. But it's fun. We're going to have a raffle. We're going to give away some Roka stuff. We're going to give away some Triathlon Lab stuff. And Cody donated some stuff. So there's a bunch of stuff to give away at that dinner, as well as eat with your family and friends. So the more the merrier. Bring your family. And it's actually good food too. So plenty of room for everybody. Here's the wetsuit protocol. This is what they do with the wetsuit. They don't want any mussels in their lake. That's why I'm not racing it this year. They said, no, you have too many mussels, so you can't get in that water. But they just put it in. They have like something, that chlorine in this little tiny kid's pool, and you have to dunk it for 15 seconds. There's a volunteer there with a stopwatch. You dunk it, then you grab you got to
The
tag
hangers,
it.
and you find a place to hang it up.
Yeah, they
Remember
tag.
when you hang it up. There's 2,000 wetsuits in there, so just remember your number on where you hang the wetsuit up. It's
Yeah,
kind of
really.
confusing, but it sorts itself out on the day, so don't worry.
They make you put a tag on your zipper as well. They do it for you, and they check it before everybody who goes in the water on Sunday.
Yeah.
They check those tags. If you don't have a tag on there, they don't let you in the water. So dunk it, get the tag on there, hang it up, and then you'll get it on Sunday morning before you head over to, or after you head over to your transition area. So it's really easy, really self-explanatory.
Hey,
All right,
Jim.
aid stations. I didn't change this from last year, but it's Morton instead of
Jim.
Gatorade. Yeah.
I think also just in the athlete guide, they mentioned that if you're wearing like a neoprene cap, that has to get soaked too. So don't forget that as well.
Yeah, anything you're wearing in there has the cap. We're not wearing booties, so you're not gonna put the booties in there because no one's allowed on this call to wear booties. But if you're wearing a cap, you got to bring the cap with you too. Thanks, Max. All right, bike course aid station. So just where it says Gatorade, it's Mortal hydration now. It's just another electrolyte drink. So this is what they have on the bike and the run aid stations. Pretty much what they have at every Ironman. The way it's going to run is they have a bunch of volunteers with water. The next bunch of volunteers with the electrolyte drink. The next bunch of volunteers have gel. The black gel is non-caffeinated. The white gel is caffeinated. The next volunteer has fruit. The next volunteer has your electrolyte drink again, and the last set of volunteers has water. So you always get 2 chances at the water and the electrolyte drink. Same thing on the run. You get water, you get your electrolyte drink, you have cola, Red Bull, gel, and then the last group of volunteers again is the electrolyte drink, and the very last volunteers you see at the aid station is water again. And every Ironman event you go to, it's that same setup. All right, so let's get into the swim course. So they changed the direction of the swim course this year. You're starting there on the bottom of the screen with that green. When you go out to that first buoy, you're directly into the sunlight. This is where you want that those tinted goggles. Now, I assume none of us on this call are going to be tip of the spear. No one's going to be the first person in the water. So your best option is to sight the swimmers in front of you when you're going straight into that sun. It's only 3 300 to 400 yards out to the first turn buoy. So it's not that much into the sun. But don't lift your head and think you're looking at all those buoys. Just look at the swimmers in front of you and just keep swimming in the path of those swimmers. You get to that first turn buoy, then you can sight buoy to buoy to buoy because the sun's at your back, and those buoys are lit up really nicely. But you're gonna make 2 left-hand turns, and you come around, and you gotta make the turn around that inside right-hand turn to head out to the second dog leg out to the further buoys, right? So there's no way to skip or cut the course. You have to make the right-hand turn around that third turn buoy, and then you're back to the left-hand turns into the finish. We take it one buoy at a time. You never look too far ahead. You don't look all the way down the line of buoys and say, how the hell am I ever going to get there, right? Just keep the arms churning over, keep nice, relaxed swim stroke, and keep that heart rate up. You'll stay warm as long as you keep moving, right? It's counterclockwise this year. Like I said, they changed it. It used to be the other way, and you'd look into the sun most of the swim. So they finally got smart and changed that. Obviously, we talked about the water temperature. I want you guys to be aggressive on the swim start, right? So this is something I've learned at the racing at the amateur ranks this last year is no one seeds themselves correctly, right? So if you're a 40-minute swimmer and you go back with a 40-minute swim group, you're with a bunch of 60-minute swimmers, right? So I'd rather you be on the aggressive side, jump up 40-minute swimmers, jump up to a 35-minute swimmer. 35-minute swimmer, jump up to a 30-minute swimmer. If you think you're going to swim 30 minutes, get to the front. I want you getting out within the first 5 minutes of the race starting, right? I want you to be aggressive in your swim start so then you get out of the water with better athletes, right? If you're a 35-minute swimmer and you're going with a bunch of 45-minute athletes, you're going to have a tough time riding with anyone on the bike, pushing you to that next level, motivating you to keep the pace up, right? So let's be a little aggressive on that swim start. And if you feel a little intimidated, look for another athlete, another Tower 26 athlete, and do it together. Head up to the front together. You guys will all meet each other at the dinner the night before. Head up to the front together and use each other to kind of to key off of and get to a little more aggressive position than you think you should be in. Eli, you good with that?
Yeah.
So where do you expect to swim?
Well, I expect to swim. I'd like to swim 37. You know, between 30, less than 40. So
Right. So I would want Eli to go somewhere in that 30 to 35 minute range. So they have the barriers every 5 minutes, right? 30 minutes, 35, 40, 45. Somewhere in that range, 30 to 35 minutes is where Eli's going to line up. Right? Because I want you guys to be able to get on the ride and key off of other riders, not drafting, not cheating, but if you have that motivation of stronger athletes to ride around you, you're going to keep that effort up. We good with that? All right, like you said, it's a rolling start. Get up to the front. With the colder water, all those people around you, not much time to warm up. Obviously, we're all going to go for a little 5 to 10 minute run. Try and dunk yourself in the lake if you can. There should be a little warm-up area. I would like you guys to spend a little time in that warm-up area just to take this edge off. And when you get in for the race, it's not the first time you're feeling that. But even that being said, you might get out there and you might start to hyperventilate. The suit is tight. There's a lot of people around you. The water's on the colder side. Just relax. Your breath will come back to you. You'll settle down. If you need to use one of the lifeguard buoys, let's chill out for a minute. Do it. But your race isn't over if you lose the breath and you start to start to hyperventilate a little bit. So just something for a heads up. Not saying it's going to happen, but just something to be on the lookout for. There's no way to cheat the course. There's no way to cheat the distance. So stay as tight to the buoys as you can. Just swim buoy to buoy to buoy. They're every 100 meters. The bigger buoys have numbers on them, right? So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are typically every 200 meters, and you have a smaller sighting buoy every 100 meters. So that's something to look out for. Find a rhythm, keep the cadence up. I've only swam one time in this lake where there was any bit of chop, and it was crazy chop, but I don't see that being the case. This was an anomaly when I did it that one time. It's usually pretty calm, pretty flat. The only thing you got to worry about is other swimmers around you causing that turbulence in the water. So you should get some good purchase per stroke. Just keep the cadence up, keep the nice hip drive going, and just make sure you're sighting frequently so you're swimming straight. Because looking at it from the shore, it doesn't look like it's that wide of a body of water, but once you get out there, it's pretty wide. So stay tight to those buoys. Don't get too far off it, and swim only the distance that you need to swim for the race. Questions on the swim? Anything? Pretty straightforward. All right, transition 1, make it snappy, but don't be hasty. Don't forget anything. This is a little different. than most 70.3 transitions. It's more like an Ironman transition. So your bags will be hanging up. You're going to hang up your bags on Saturday on your numbered rack. So take a note of where your bag is hanging on the rack, because when you get out of the water, they're going to funnel you down into the bags. You'll know which row you are. They're all numbered. Find your number, grab your bag. Then there's a bunch of chairs. You can sit down in the chair, put on your shoes, put on your socks, put on your shoes, put on your helmet, stuff your wetsuit into your bag, and as you run out, you can throw your wetsuit to the volunteers who are taking all those bags to put at your to bring to the finish line, or the second transition. So you'll run out with your wetsuit in the bag. So make sure you stuff it in there, you close the bag, and you throw it. It doesn't have to take a ton of time. Make it fast, but get it in the bag and pull that bag closed, throw it to a volunteer, and they'll take it the rest of the way. If you wear socks on the bike, do it. If you don't wear socks on the bike, that's your choice. If you want to do it, it might keep your toes a little warmer, help your toes warm up a little quicker. But like I said, you warm up pretty fast on that bike, so don't wear a ton of layers just because you're worried about being cold. You'll be fine once you get going. Put the helmet, sunglasses, shoes on, grab your bike, and then carefully run to the mountain line. Something else to remember, you go straight uphill. It's a very short hill, but you go straight uphill out of transition. So make sure your gearing is in one of the easier gears when you rack your bike or before you leave your bike on Sunday. Shift to an easier gear, turn the pedals, and make sure that your gearing comes down into an easier gear, because when you get on your bike, and no shoes on the bike. I want you to put your shoes on in transition and then run to the bike with your shoes on. You got to be careful because you're running on asphalt through transition, but no one's starting with their shoes on their bike. You go straight uphill. All that is a recipe for disaster. Shoes are on in transition, and run to your bike with your shoes on. Who cares if you look like a moron for 30 seconds, right? We're fast anyway. Grab your bike, walk or run to the mountain line, cross the mountain line, get on your bike. You're in that easier gear. You'll cruise right up that hill, and then you're right into a downhill and a tailwind for the first stint of the bike. So make that transition quick. Don't waste time. Don't finish and said, "Oh God, if my transition would have only been 30 seconds faster." This is an easy course. This is an easy T1 to get caught into a lull of I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. Keep moving forward and make it snappy. All right, so the bike course. So you're going to take it out. If you guys look at the green box, that's the start. That's the lake. It says T1, right? So you will be heading out for the first 5 miles. You're going to be heading east. Typically 99.9999999% of the time on this course, you're going to have a tailwind for that first 5 miles, right? So I want you to use this to your advantage. Obviously, we're using the first 5 miles to get the body moving, get into the grooves, get the feel. But the sooner you can get into your groove and start pushing a bigger gear with that tailwind, the more time you're going to start gaining on your competition, right? So we want to use that tailwind to our advantage, push a good big gear, and really start putting in some good purchase on the pedals to make the most out of that tailwind. And you're going to start doing math in your head and say, holy cow, my bike time is going to be record performance. I'm going to break 2 hours because you're going to have such a great tailwind for the first 5 miles. Then you're going to make a right-hand turn and you're going to have a crosswind coming from right to left. And I'm just saying, I've done this race probably 7 times. It's been this way all 7 times. So cross our fingers, it's going to be this way. So depending on the strength of the wind, the stronger the wind, the more you kind of have to lean into the crosswind. The smaller the athlete you are, the more you have to lean into the crosswind. But we're all well versed on how to handle a bike. Just make sure you keep your weight back over the saddle, good center of gravity. Don't let too loose on the bars if there's a strong crosswind. Don't have to white knuckle it, but make sure you have a good grip on there so the front end doesn't get pushed one way or the other. But you should be fine. When you make that right-hand turn coming off of Van Buren Street, that's when you meet your first headwind, right? So you're going from, because you'll still be moving with the crosswind, you make the right-hand turn off of Van Buren into that headwind, and that's where you start to really feel, okay, now I'm starting to work, right? Your speed might be slower at the same effort, but make sure you stay within your ability level. Just because the speed goes down to 15 miles an hour doesn't mean we start to push harder and burn matches going into the tailwind. Stay within the range that we've set out before race day. Should be somewhere in that 75 to 85% heart rate and power range, and stick with it. Make sure you stay nice and fluid and relaxed when you're into the headwind. Stay in your TT position. Don't get up. One of your first inclinations is going to be get up and push harder, because you can push harder when you're standing up. Stay in your TT position as much as you can. You can get up and stretch if you need to, but get back down into it and cut the wind. Make yourself as small as possible. When you get to the first U-turn there, you're going to go back with a tailwind. Remember, when we're making the U-turn, guys, you want to look to where you're turning, right? You don't want to look at the front wheel. You don't want to look to the side of the road. You want to turn your head, right, Max? We worked on this a couple weeks ago. You want to look to where you're going in the turn, right? So if I'm turning a U-turn this way, I'm turning, my head's over here looking to where I'm going, right? That a lot of athletes have a tough time turning a tight turn. Look there, and that's where they go, right? You want to look, put your head over and look that way as you turn to where you're going with the turn. Start practicing as you drive, right? When you're driving around, and you're making a turn, a right-hand turn, look to where you're going with that right-hand turn. Do the same thing on the bike. When you get out of that U-turn, get on the pedals, get up the speed as fast as possible, and use that tailwind once again to push you, because now you're going like 8 miles with the tailwind straight out, right? So use that to your advantage. Let's really, really put in a good effort with that tailwind, get that speed up and maintain that speed, using it to our advantage. Going to make a right-hand turn after about 8 miles, go out to the second U-turn, come on back. You'll have a crosswind the whole way. Same thing, if you need to lean into it on the way out, lean to the right, lean to the left on the way back, keeping in that 70 to 85% effort. Then you kind of wander around until you get to the racetrack. The racetrack is pretty cool. If you guys see that little squiggly area, 35 to 40. It's another place, though, you could get into a lull of looking around and letting the distractions mess with your effort. I want you guys to stay dialed in and stay focused. It's a pretty cool area. You go on the racetrack, they're going to take some great photos of you. But then once you come out of the racetrack and you have about 20 miles left, you guys notice on the elevation chart on the bottom, mile 32 to 56, it's a slow grind back to the finish of the bike. You really got to stay engaged. You got to stay focused. You got to find that flow. Don't let the distractions start to kick in. I've done this 7 times. You come out of that racetrack from the high of riding on the racetrack. It's pretty cool. And then you're right back into that desert terrain and you're like, damn, this sucks. I'm going uphill. I'm not going as fast as I should be because the false flat. You don't even realize that you're climbing for 20 miles. Stay engaged in the process. Stay nice and efficient. Keep the power on the pedals. Get up and stretch every so often if you need to. Especially when you're turning, use the turns to get out of the saddle, get on the pedals, stretch it out a little bit. But I can't stress enough, guys, stay engaged, especially from that mile 32 to 56. It's really easy to lose it in that section. So any tips, Eli, on how we could stay engaged in that section?
We just talked about it. It's just our, being mindful, just knowing that the first half of the race is going to be faster than the second half. And, the second half, you're going to be slowing, you're not going to be moving as fast. And you just have to know that going in. So you keep pressing on and don't let it get in your head that you're going too slow.
And this, because it's the same terrain over and over and over for 56 miles, it's an extremely mentally taxing course, right? You get really mentally fatigued by this time in the race. And you just have to keep re-engaging that focus, re-engaging that focus, re-engage that focus. Because once you get into those bigger roads, like Monroe, Avenue 52, Jefferson, Miles, then it's you riding and you could just see forever and you're just like, this thing is never going to end. Why am I not getting to the finish line? You got to shut that down, engage in the process, taking a mile at a time, and eventually you get there. Focus on your nutrition, keep sipping your hydration every few minutes, stay on top of your carbohydrate intake every 15 to 20 minutes, and look forward to the next feeding as opposed to when you're going to be at the damn finish line, because that's the biggest stress or the biggest test of this race is coming out of that racetrack and finishing off the bike course. So stay engaged, stay on the pedals, and use other riders to be your little carrots. Oh, I'm going to go past that guy. I'm going to go past that guy. I'm going to go past that guy. Use those as your carrots if you need to, because everybody else is going to be faltering, and I need you guys to stay engaged. Kind of talked about all these bike notes already. Keep a comfortable cadence. Keep it nice, smooth, and relaxed. If the headwind kicks up as the day goes on, don't smash the pedals. Don't mash the pedals. Keep it nice and relaxed and fluid. Go into an easier gear and don't fight the pedals. Be one with the bike. even paced. Don't put in huge surges. keep a nice 75 to 80% effort, nice and even as you go. Stay aero as much as possible. We already spoke about that. Keep the pedal stroke smooth into the headwind and push a little harder as you're going into the headwind. And don't think you're going to push as hard with the tailwind, but I want you guys pushing good purchase on the water, some good big gears with the tailwind. Make up some time when that's pushing you from behind. Break the distance down in the smaller chunks. Ride nutrition interval to nutrition interval, and stay on those nutrition intervals if you go. If you have to go pee, you can either go while you're riding. It's a good time to go when you have a tailwind, or they have outhouses at the aid stations. Just make it fast. There's a lot of people on course at the same time. Obviously, no one is trying to draft. So if you find you're in a position where there's a bunch of people around you, it will split up. Try and stay, what is it, Eli? Is it 4 bike lengths distance?
I think it's
12
actually-
meters.
Yeah, I think it's actually 5 bike lengths.
5 bike lengths back from the person in front of you. Stay as legal as possible, but if it's just something you can't avoid, I don't want any accidents. I want you veering all over the road because there's somebody in front of you riding like an idiot, right? Use it to your advantage. Let me pull you along for a little bit, and when they die out, you could pass them and leave them in your dust. So just don't stress out. Don't lose your head because there's people riding around you. It happens. It's one of the dynamics of this course that you have to deal with. All right, you come into transition 2. So you make a right-hand turn into the parking lot, and transition comes up on you pretty quick. Remember, you got to get off your bike before the dismount line. You get off your bike before the dismount line, you know where your run shoes are and all your run gear because you left it there the day before. Run your bike. You're going to be on grass. So run your bike to that area, mount your bike on the rack, grab your bag, rip your bag open, grab your shoes, grab your socks, put on your socks, put on your shoes, then grab all the rest of your stuff, your hat, your sunglasses, your nutrition, your race belt, and put it on as you're running out of transition. Don't stand at the rack and put it all on. That's just wasted time. There's no rule that says you have to have all that on as you run out of transition. Once you get all that on, then you could start your watch, and so you're a couple tenths off your overall distance, your overall time on your watch. But I'd rather you get out of transition as you put all that stuff on and then start your watch than stand there at transition rack, put it all on, waste time, and then run from there. Does everybody understand that? Right? Everybody understands it? All right. I showed Max the secret to putting on socks in transition the other day. If you're not wearing socks on the bike, or even if you are, if you're putting socks on the bike, all right, I'm going to end this quickly, and I'm going to come back to you guys. Hang on. All right, I'm going to show you. This is a secret. Everybody watching? Okay. This is my race sock, right? This awesome race sock right here. It's not really, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand. I'm going to put it in. It's right side out. I'm going to put it in. I'm going to grab the heel. I have the heel right here, right? And I'm going to pull the heel out right there, right? So the heel is out. You have the heel sticking out of the sock right there. So there's a nice little pocket here to put your tootsies in, right? So the heel's on the bottom. Your foot can go right in to that little pocket, right in, and you pull it up, boom, it's on in 2 seconds, right? So grab the heel, pull it through, make that nice little pocket. You're wearing them on the bike, just put it in your bike shoes, slip them on. If you're not wearing them on the bike and you wear them in your run shoes, put them in the run shoes, slip them on, throw on your shoes, grab the rest of your stuff and go. Chris, you get that?
You don't have 2 pairs of matching socks. I know you don't.
I don't right now, actually.
No,
It's
I
funny
know.
you say that. I usually do, but I don't right now. That's funny
Yeah.
you say that. Okay, so get off your bike before the dismount line. Remember that. You can't cross that dismount line. There's plenty of volunteers to remind you to do that. There's a yellow line on the ground that say get off your bike, get off your bike, get off your bike. So that's the dismount line if you guys aren't aware of that. All right, run course, 13.1 miles. It's 2 loops. Even when you're on the quote unquote flatter section in the beginning, you're still either going up or down most of the time. It's a little more gradual in the first couple miles, and then you get onto the cart path, and then it's just up and down and up and down and up and down. Really easy to lose your momentum, to lose your focus once you get on that cart path because there's turning, there's ups, there's downs. There's people everywhere. It's not like a really tight cart path, but it's not the widest area. So it's really easy to fall into the groove of everybody else who might be walking or who might not be in the groove. I want you guys to remember what we practice and what we talk about session after session after session. Push over the top, keep the legs moving as you go into the down. Push over the top, keep the legs moving, and push into the down. because we got to keep the momentum up as we run this course. Then you're going to have a grind back to the turnaround, and then you have to do the same thing again. The second time through, you're fatigued, but at least you know the course, right? Because they don't let you go look at the course the day before. You just have to understand it's a typical golf cart path where they're just up and down and up and down and up and down. I want you to focus on keeping the momentum, keeping your rhythm, and you do that by pushing over the top, getting the legs moving, going down. Drive the knees up, going up, push over the top, get the legs moving, going down. So when we look at your pacing afterwards, it's a nice even line from start to finish. It's not slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up. But it takes a lot of focus and a lot of concentration, which is hard because you're already depleted from that long, boring bike ride. We're boring for everybody else. You guys are so engaged, it's not boring for you. And it really helps to take it 1 mile at a time. Just run 1 mile to the next, not even thinking how much you have left. I already said, work the uphills and let the legs roll on the downhills. We work harder where the course gets harder, right? I'm going to show you guys my my run file from last year. And if you look at Eli, can you see this?
Yep.
I don't know what this RPM is. I'm going to hide that. So, but if you look at the pacing, right? So obviously there's some undulation in the pacing based on the undulation of the course, but it's pretty close from start to finish all the way through. You know, I'm right around that 6-minute pace all the way through the race, no matter where we're at on the course, right? Up and down and up and down and up and down. It took a ton of concentration, a ton of focus to keep those knees driving, keep that cadence up, stay nice and tall. But I know I got to the finish line, I left it all out there, and I ran a 121 on that course. So I was pretty happy with that because I've never run that course as successfully as I did last year by manipulating the course the way I did. I was driving the knees going up, pushing over the top, getting the cadence going down, driving the knees going up. But there's a lot of people that could lull you into the walk or the not staying on top of the effort realm of things. I want you guys to stay on the effort, stay focused, stay engaged in the process. One other thing is notice this little out and back. Once you come out of the cart path, once you come out of the golf course, you don't go right back to the turnaround. You have to make a quick distance grab. You make a right-hand turn, a U-turn at the end of the street, and then you come back to the finish line. All right. So just so you know, when you come out of the golf course, you're going to be making a right-hand turn to a quick U-turn and then come back. And that's where you go back to the finish line. Don't skip that. I had a guy last year skip it. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. It's really hard not to know where to go, but he got disqualified because of it. And I'm still bitter at the guy. I actually fired him because of it. So
After you come out
do
of the
that.
golf course and turn right, then
Come
you
out of the golf course. Yeah.
climb up a little gradual hill. It's 500-600 yards, a little bit of a hill. So you really need to stay focused on that hill. Then you go back to the tennis garden again. So
yeah, I'm telling you, it's always up or down. There's nothing
one thing you
flat,
said
guys.
there was run it 1 mile at a time. Just concentrate 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile.
Yep.
Just keep-
Drive.
Yep.
Count driving your knees, right? You count left knee 50, right
Yep.
knee 50, left knee 50, right knee 50. Because I say here, run your race, run a mile at a time. There will be the bad wolf speaking up saying, this is dumb, stop it. But you don't want to succumb to that little voice saying, slow down, right? If you succumb to that voice afterwards, you're not going to be happy with yourself. But if you push through, you quiet him down, you say, okay, I'll talk to you after the race, right? In our own quarters. I'm going to do my own thing right now. I'm going to push through right here. You're going to be much happier with your race, much happier with your effort. So don't let that bad wolf speak up and persuade you to backing down, because we've all done enough work. We're all fit. We're all ready to let it rip. Sure, as you go, it's going to be harder and harder to hold on to that strong race pace, but that's how you know you paced it out right, is that you're working your tail off that last 5K just to hang on to what you were doing the previous 10 miles, right? Stay on top of the nutrition. I would say take a gel every 25 to 30 minutes. If you need extra sodium, they have little salt pills that they sell at the expo that you could buy, little salt pills. You could take one of those every 30 minutes. That might help stay on top of those sodium reserves. Eli, do you have any of those salt pills? Do you have any with you?
I do not. I generally don't need that during the run. I'm usually good with the gels. But if I do feel it, sometimes there's a pretzel or a potato chip, and that's all it takes for me just to get
Yeah.
that salt flavor in my mouth.
So they have the pretzels and potato chips at the aid stations. If you wanted to get some sodium beforehand, Scott over at the expo will have Scott DeFilippe. He has the orange tent at the expo. He'll have precision hydration, electrolyte, little pills. You could take one of those every 3 miles if you're worried about cramping, if you're worried about backing down. And a lot of times, effort falls by the wayside as the run goes because you're low on electrolytes, right? So make sure you stay on top of the electrolytes. You keep it coming in. And if you're worried about that, head it off at the pass by taking those salt pills in every 30 minutes. One when you come out of transition, or one within the first mile, and 30 minutes from there. So maybe 2 or 3 salt pills over the course of the run. All right,
Question.
nutrition. Yeah.
If you haven't used salt pills during training, what do you feel during the race
You don't
to tell
will
you
feel-
that you maybe need some? And or second question, can you overdo the salt tabs? Is there downside to just taking them?
No, you're not going to. I don't want you taking handfuls of them, but if you're taking one every 25, 30 minutes, you're fine. And if you just feel your energy lacking, even if you're not cramping, you feel your energy lagging, you maybe start to feel, I don't know, tunnel vision, you just can't concentrate. That's a sign that you're low on your electrolytes, and where a quick infusion of sodium can help quell that, right? So you feel crampy, you're losing your focus, you just feel like you're not on your effort. Sometimes it's just you need a quick hit of sodium, and that can pick it up right away. So, so something to realize and to take into account. It might be good to take a couple salt pills, put them in a baggie, put them in your pocket before you go out on the run course, and just know you have them there in case you feel like, hey, I'm lagging a little bit. But you're not going to overdo it. You're all getting so depleted, and if you're only taking one every so often, you'll be fine.
Got it.
All right, Saturday, we want to make sure we stay on top of our carbohydrates. We're not looking to lose weight on Saturday. Make sure you're sipping on electrolyte drink throughout the day. Don't overdo the electrolytes the day before, because what counts is race morning. All right, I want all you guys sipping on electrolyte drink from the moment you wake up. You're sipping on a bottle with pH 1500 in it all the way up until you leave your transition rack in the morning. Race nutrition, make sure you get a gel in 30 minutes before your swim start. Once you get out of the water, you get on your bike, you get settled in, then you can start taking in your nutrition based on what we spoke about, your specific nutrition intervals. Most of you guys will be taking a gel every 20 to 25 minutes. You'll be sipping on your electrolyte drink at least every 5 minutes. When you run out of your electrolyte drink, you throw that by the side and take a straight water from the aid station. You'll probably be at the second or third aid station by the time you run out of that electrolyte drink. Run, same thing. You don't have to get as many carbohydrates in on the run, but you still want to make sure you stay on top of some type of gel. Maybe you take one at mile 1, mile 4, mile 7, and maybe mile 10 if you need a little placebo. But you don't want to completely forget about your nutrition when you get onto the run. Keep it coming in so you can finish strong just the way you started. Because you're front end loading everything you're going to need on the run for the first half of the run when you're on the bike. I don't want it to taper down and fall by the wayside as the run goes on. So we got to preemptively get our nutrition and our carbohydrates in the first half of the run, so we have energy in the second half of the run. So stay on top of that fueling as you go through that run course. And they have the gels at every aid station. Like I said, the black gels are no caffeine. The white gels are caffeinated. All right, questions, comments, anything? What do we got?
Why do you take a caffeine gel versus a regular gel?
Just give you a little kick in the ass.
Mhm.
It depends. If you're used to caffeine, it's something you take frequently. I take mainly caffeine gels, right? If it's something you're not used to, you're going to take mainly not caffeinated gels. But when you need to amp it up and you feel like you're lagging, take a caffeinated gel to give you a little boost, right? But I'm so numb to caffeine, I take one and I just feel a little more energy, especially when I get going on the bike. To just give me a little boost. So it's just your preference, right? And it depends on how accustomed you are to caffeine, right?
Ron, I wouldn't
coffee
be
nonstop.
slamming down caffeine gels on the bike. I'd stay with I'd keep the caffeine ones for the start of the run. Maybe you need two or
Exactly. So that's
three.
what Chris would do, right? I'm the opposite. I go caffeine all the time, right? I'm
Yeah,
caffeinated.
just remember, if you're doing caffeine for the first time during the race, once you start caffeine, you want to keep using caffeine.
Right. Because otherwise you're gonna have peak and valley, peak and valley. You want to keep
Right.
that steady coming in. You don't want the half-life to kick in and you just fall by the wayside, right?
Mhm.
All right, what else? Anything?
so
Katie, you good?
Gear bag question.
Yes.
So with the run, your bag will be at your bike rack, but coming into
Yeah, you drop it off the
T1
day. You drop it
Right.
off at your rack, so you know exactly where it's going to be. Nobody touches it, but you have to drop it off the day before. So, like I said, bring all the stuff. You won't have your check-in bag when you go to check in. You won't have your run gear bag. You get it at check-in, but then you take all your stuff, bring a backpack with all your stuff in, just transfer it into that bag and drop it off at the transition area right after check-in. It just saves you a trip.
And you
Right,
just
but,
get, there's a
so-
little rope on the bag. You just tie it onto the transition rack.
And don't think you
Great,
need
and
to be
then-
like
but
really
in- so-
gentle when you get that bag. Like rip that thing
Just
open.
rip it open, rip the
T2.
top open.
But in T1 though, you said your bag and your bike rack are two different locations, right?
Yeah.
It's not hanging.
Yeah.
at
You
your
get right out of the water. Right out of the water, there's all the bags.
Okay.
So you run down there's racks, right? The bag racks. You run down, grab your bag, go to the chairs, take your wetsuit off, put your bike gear on, stuff the wetsuit in the bag, give it to a volunteer, and go to your bike rack.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Then
Yeah,
based
they
on that, when you show up in the morning, do you like anything that you have with you in the morning? Where do you put that? Like, what if you
So there's a morning clothes bag. So you're gonna get
Okay.
a clear bag that's your morning clothes bag. You're gonna have a red bag that's your run gear bag. You have a blue bag that's your bike gear bag. Right. So your clear bag will have nothing in it when you go to transition. And that's the only bag you'll have race morning because you'll have already dropped off your red bag and your blue bag. Right. So you got to make sure they give you a bunch of stickers. You got to make sure your number sticker is on that bag. Right. And then, so here's another trick. All right. So you all have a backpack with all your stuff in it. Right. Whatever you're bringing in the transition. Take your clear bag and tie it to that backpack with the number on it. And then you just give your backpack to the volunteer. Instead of trying to stuff everything into the clear bag, bring a backpack, tie the clear bag with your number on it to the backpack and give that to the volunteer. So that way you have a little more freedom as to what you want to bring with you. You have a little more space to stuff any morning clothes you have into your backpack as opposed to just trying to jam it into a small plastic bag that could break. Right. So I've done that every race that I've ever done, and you're just a lot more comfortable doing that. Yeah, you get that, Katie? But
I
good
think
question.
So is
Also,
the
here's another pro tip. You get off the bus, there's going to be a ton of outhouses right there. They're always wide open. Even if you don't have to go, get in there and try and go. Right? That's the emptiest outhouse you ever find in Ironman triathlon is those outhouses at La Quinta when you get off the bus. Right? So go in there, and I think Chris's Ireland T-shirt is still in that outhouse. That's where that incident happened, Chris.
That's so true. I still have the T-shirt.
I know he's wearing it now. No toilet
Yeah.
paper. Used his
Yeah,
T-shirt.
no toilet paper.
Took it with him.
Yeah. That's a
Nancy, you
story
good?
for
What do you got,
Saturday
Nancy?
night.
That's a true story, Nancy.
It's a true story, Nancy.
That's a true story. That's O'Driscoll for you.
Yeah.
All right. Anything
know.
else? I'm hoping with this talk not only give you the specifics of the race, but hopefully we have a leg up because I've done this damn race so many times. Eli's led the damn ride on full gas so many times. I mean, we should have a leg up on everybody out there. I mean, obviously want to have fun, but I want to head everything off of the pass and go out there and really enjoy the experience.
I did go out to the lake today, and it was like glass. It was that smooth on the surface, and it looks like I haven't been here before. It looks like they had newly paved all the way out from the swim. When you get
Yeah.
on the bike, it's a brand new pavement.
Yeah,
Super
that was new.
smooth.
That was new last year, so I'm glad it
Yeah.
held up because before it was like, I mean, somebody took like an M80 to the ground all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good to hear because you're going downhill there and you're screaming pretty fast. The most technical part of the course is in the first half mile. You have to make a left-hand turn into a right-hand turn downhill. So just be careful on that downhill. But after that, you have a couple of U-turns, but it's pretty straightforward. So, okay,
Question?
yeah.
Coming out of T1, 7:30 in the morning, out of the water, people just wearing tri-suits for the most part?
Yeah,
Or
I'm
is there
telling you guys, don't overdress. It's not. You get warm real
You get
quick.
hot.
You get a
Right.
lot of people that overdress and they get 5 miles on their bike. Like, what the hell am I doing wearing this jacket? So, I'm telling you, don't overdress. You'll get warm as you get going, and after the race, nobody talks about being cold ever, right? It's always the noise going in. Ah, the water's cold and be cold coming out. Blah blah blah. No one ever talks about being cold, so don't stress over it. You'll be fine. I'm
Got it.
telling you, Katie's laughing at me. I'm telling you, I guarantee it. You'll be fine afterwards. You'll be like, that was awesome. I loved it.
Okay, so I won't wear any layers on the bike. I'll just only
Yeah.
wear my.
That's it. You'll be fine. Just get moving. It makes you ride faster.
Can you repeat what you were saying about the drafting again? Or
Yeah.
just how to not get in trouble with it?
Well, the rule is you just can't ride up on somebody's wheel. You got to keep a distance. The hash marks in the road, right? The hash marks in the middle of the road separating the you from the oncoming traffic. The front of one hash mark to the front of the next hash mark is the official draft distance. If you want to know a tip, right? So the front, if you're at the front of this, someone behind you can't be within that space. They can't just be riding up on your wheel. They got to be at the front of the next hash mark. So that's about the distance of the draft distance. If they're riding within that, they can get a penalty. If you're riding within that, you can get a penalty. But if you want to pass somebody, you can ride up onto their wheel, pass them, and then get in front of them, and they have to drop back. Right? So you just can't stay right on their wheel. You got to stay 3 or 4 bike lengths back in a safe spot. If you want to pass them, then you can actually ride up on their wheel, slipstream off their wheel, shotgun past them, or slingshot past them. And once you get the slightest bit ahead of them, they have to drop back, and you can move over when it's safe. Is that good? Okay.
How
Alex,
much time do I have to pass another
30
biker?
seconds. 30 seconds.
Okay.
But if you're passing 2 bikers, you have 60 seconds. If you're passing 3 bikers, you have 90 seconds, right? So it's 30 seconds to pass, but as soon as you get a centimeter ahead of them, it's on them to drop back, and it's your right of way to go forward. They can't like see you passing and then just speed up to stay ahead of you, right? So as soon as you get a little bit ahead of them, they got to drop back and they got to get out of the draft zone. So, but part of this course is it gets kind of bunched up, especially at the beginning. So don't stress if you're in that draft zone. It'll clear up.
And you don't have to like slow down a lot, right? It's just more like keep your pace because they should be faster than you to pass, right?
Exactly. You just keep going your pace.
Yeah.
They just don't want somebody speeding up and be like, "Oh, screw you! You're not going to pass me," right? And then you start racing. Like if you're going your pace and they're passing you, it's probably the right thing. Good question though. Katie, you're not passing me. Alex, what else?
Yeah, a couple more questions. Would you recommend to leave the bike shoes on the bike when dismounting?
I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should do that because you go right uphill. There's no room to put your shoes on unless you want to ride.
No. When dismounting.
Dismount.
That's
Yeah,
it.
you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. As long as you're comfortable doing that, yeah, you got time. Just know he's asking it when you're dismounting, leaving the shoes on
Yes.
the bike. Yes. But just know as soon as you make the right-hand turn in the parking lot, the dismount line's pretty close. So when you're going through the intersection, start taking your feet out. The intersection right before the finish is where you want to start taking your feet out of your shoes, because when you make the right into the parking lot, the dismount line's right there. So you want to be ready to get off your bike.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Yeah.
Another question. So you recommend to use gels on the bike. Just curious, why not drinking mix?
I'm not a fan of the drink mix. I think it's too concentrated. They're trying to do too much with one product. And I find it causes stomach distress. And athletes who rely on it solely on the drink mix, I find that their runs towards the end of the run, the second half of the run starts to fall by the wayside because all the nutrition sitting in their stomach causing distress, and it's not fueling their muscles, not fueling their system. So I find gels are just a little more efficient at getting into the bloodstream and doing the work, causing less distress. I feel like the drink mixes are trying to do too much in one sitting.
Okay, guys, thank you.
Yep.
You're
Good
talking
question.
about the drink mixes that they provide?
I'm talking about like Morton 360 or Beta Fuel, Cis Beta Fuel, like these drink mixes that you put in, in a bottle and you think you have everything in one. It's got calories, carbohydrates, electrolytes, has everything in one,
Got it.
multiple sources of sugar. And I find it's just too much. I think gels are just a better option for athletes to be using. Less stomach distress.
Got it.
Anything else?
I have
Alex,
one more.
wanna-
Oh, good.
Okay, Katie, go.
Okay, I'm going back to the morning bag one more time. So do we have the morning bag and we bring it with us?
Yeah, yeah,
Sunday
you
morning?
have all
Okay.
the bags. So you'll have it in your backpack just before you give you, because like I said, take your backpack,
But
tie
that's
it
like
on your
the only
backpack.
one we have Sunday morning to bring to the race because everything
Wow.
else is already there.
Right, everything's there. This is
Yeah.
just, you'll put your morning clothes in it, all your warm clothes, everything
Okay,
you wore
perfect.
to the race. If you brought
Yeah.
your cell phone,
Any like
whatever, you
water
put it in
bottles,
there.
whatever.
Yeah, so
Perfect.
everything
Okay.
else is, all your race gear is there. Alex, what you got?
Yeah, so they have Martin gels on the running course. So do I understand correctly that it might be a good idea to have less gels with me and get gels from the aid station instead?
It's cheaper. It's cheaper too. You save money. So
Yeah.
I bring maybe one gel out of transition with me, and then I take all the rest from the aid stations. If you have an aid station every mile, every aid station has caffeinated and non-caffeinated gels, so there's no reason to weigh yourself down with all that.
And do you drink water after eating the gel?
Yeah, every aid station, I'm grabbing water, smashing it, taking a little bit. I'm not chugging it, but yeah, take a gel and then drink a little water afterwards just to help wash it down.
Okay.
Yep. Good questions. Alex, he should come on all these calls. He's got some good questions. Between Alex and Katie, we're getting it all answered. All right, anything else, Santiago? What do we got?
Hey,
That's
Jim,
it?
another transition question. With the way it's laid out, would it make sense? Would there be a spot to like put down like a tea mat in like, or a towel or anything in either transition, or should we
No.
just-
I don't think
No.
that they won't let you. No, you
Okay.
just have to keep that area clear.
No, it's a clean transition. There's no place to do any of that kind of stuff. So
Thanks.
Yeah, but you have access to the bag in the morning to do your nutrition though.
yeah, you can go in the T1 T2 if you wanted to go before you got on the shuttle. It's open to access that bag, and then in the morning before the race starts, you can get to your blue bag too if you need to get there for any reason. Thanks, Santiago. Anything else? Santiago? You good? All right, guys. Let's Chris, you have the all you guys have the address for the dinner, 5 p.m. Saturday at Mario's. There's a bunch of Marios, so pay attention to the address. It's on Bermuda Way, right? Bermuda Dunes.
Bermuda Dunes.
Bermuda Dunes, right? So go to the correct Mario's. It's in the email. It'd be fun. We did it last year. We filled the place up. It was a blast. So it's good just to bounce off each other, release some stress, and chat things over. Triathlon related or not. But thanks for joining, guys. A lot of good stuff. I'm sure I will talk to all you guys before Sunday. But be safe getting out there. Nancy, are you good?
Saturday.
Yeah, you good? Okay. Chris will be out there Saturday.
You gonna be out there on Sunday?
Who?
Are you coming out to watch? Are you?
I gotta go to New Zealand. I'll be on the way to New Zealand. So you guys do me proud. It's the first year I'm missing in like 10 years. Come on. But it's not like I'm sitting at home, you know. So I'll be watching everybody though. All right. Eli will be out there. Chris obviously lives out there. So yeah, we got plenty of representation. Have some fun, guys. Represent. You guys did some hard work. Let's finish the season with a bang. All
Thanks,
right.
Jimmy.
I'll talk to you guys all before Sunday though. All right. Thanks
See
for
ya.
joining everybody. Bye.
Take care.
Later.